Hey, geometry students, in this lesson, we're going to be taking a look at a pretty easy topic. We're going to be talking about transformations. Now, we're going to get a little bit wordy in our description of these because we're going to involve some geometric proof information along with these that we can be used later to prove that something is a type of transformation. But actually, this is a pretty simple concept. Okay, there are three types of transformations. You're used to seeing them. They have really obvious names, like, along with their complicated geometry name. They have really obvious everyday names that we refer to them as. I think you're going to find that this is a pretty easy lesson. So, what is a transformation? A transformation is simply a change in the size, shape, or position of a figure. Okay? So, it's as simple as if we take a figure and just slide it over to a new position, or if we take a figure and rotate it about a point, or if we take a figure, we flip it from one side to the other. Transformations have a pre-image, that's the image that was originally there before being transformed, and the actual image, the figure that results from a transformation. And we're going to see that when we refer to the pre-image and the image always gets referred to with these special marks that indicate that we're dealing with the after the transformation. Those are called prime marks. Let me show you what a prime mark looks like right now. Now I'm going to zoom in on this transformation. Notice that these letters are the same as these letters, except these ones have this little tick mark next to them. That's called a prime mark. And what this is saying is this is U before the transformation. Okay, the original U doesn't have any mark. But to indicate that after an event has occurred, a transformation, now we put a little prime mark there. Now, here's a definition of transformation that uses the word isometry and sort of identifies a specific type of transformation that we're dealing with. So I could change the size of an image as well, or even the shape of an image in a transformation, but not an isometry transformation. And we're only going to be dealing with isometry transformations in this lesson. An isometry is a transformation does not change the size or shape of the figure. That is, the image of an isometry is congruent to its pre-image. Okay, notice I've changed some things about this figure. I've changed where it's located on the page. I'm sliding it over. I even rotated it about a point. I did two transformations to this figure. Thirdly, I flipped it, right? There's no way for me to get this image and just slide it right back on top of this one because UV is in sort of the wrong spot. I would need to flip it back over. I did all three of those transformations to this, right? But I didn't change the size or shape of the image, and they're still congruent because I still have side, side, side congruence, for example. Okay, you could do any of the, because all of the angles are marked, you could do any of the congruence methods on these two, but they're still congruent to each other. Okay, so this is an isometry because I didn't change the size or shape, and what that means is my figures are congruent to each other. There are three types of isometries that we're going to be talking about. Oh, by the way, an isometry is also known as a congruence transformation or a rigid transformation. Those three terms are just synonyms, they mean the exact same thing. Congruence transformation emphasizes the fact that my image and pre image are congruent to each other. And rigid transformation is an interesting way to think about it. It's as if I cut this out of cardboard, okay? And I made a copy of it that's also cut out of cardboard. And I can just manipulate the two things as rigid objects. I'm not squishing them down, stretching them out, changing their shape in any way. They're staying the same shape. So that's what rigid transformation emphasizes. All right, let's talk about the three types. One type is a translation. That's a slide. Every point in the figure moves the same distance and direction from the original point. Okay. So I'm sliding, basically, what I'm saying here is I'm sliding the entire figure over. Let's just look at letter A in the lesson practice. Identify the type of transformation which takes triangle XYZ to X prime, Y prime, Z prime. Okay. So how am I going to take this triangle to make this triangle? Well, I'm going to use a transformation. I'm going to slide it over. I'm sorry, a translation, a type of transformation. It's a translation. I'm going to slide it over from its original position to a new spot. If it's just a slide, it's a translation. Another type is a reflection, and this involves flipping the pre-image over a line, and that line is okay. So here's where we get into this thing where I'm going to give you like the technical geometry definition along with the simple definition. You could picture taking like a playing card and just flipping it over from one side to the other. With a figure, when we flip it over, all of the points are going to switch sides compared to each other. And once we flip it, we're not able to move it back in such a way that it'll perfectly align the points with where they originally were. Okay. It's still a congruent figure. It's just, we can't just slide it back over on top of itself anymore and have the points line up. That's what happens. This is the one congruence transformation that actually changes it so you can't just realign the figure with its original. Okay, so what is the geometry thing that happens? The line of transformation or the line of reflection is the perpendicular bisector of every original point and its image. If I drew a line segment joining the original point and its image, the line of transformation would be the perpendicular bisector. Now, this is going to be a lot easier if you look at an example of it. So let's take a look at an example of this. We're going to reflect this quadrilateral over the line GF, okay? And this is what it's going to look like. Now it's a little blurry. Let's zoom in and take a look. So here I have D, E, F, G. And then on the bottom here, the same point as F is F prime. Same point as G is G prime. And then flipped over way down to here is D prime and E prime. Now notice if I tried to slide this back up, I couldn't make these points align with the original image anymore. Like D is now going to be in the position of G. Okay, that's the first thing I mentioned. But now this technical definition, let's say that I have a point right here. Okay. And I'm going to copy that point down, and we're going to put its image is going to flip over. Now we're going to pretend like I'm doing this perfectly. Its image is going to flip over the line to be right here. If I made a line segment joining the original point to its image point, okay, and again, please use your imagination. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this perfectly to the right spot there. That's a little better. The line of reflection here is going to be the perpendicular bisector. And I can do that for any image, pre-image point, and its image point. If I make a line connecting them, the line of reflection is the perpendicular bisector. So I'm moving each point of the original the same distance across, however much distance there is between it and the line of reflection, I'm moving at that same distance to the other side of the line of reflection. Now, it's way easier for you to just think about a flip, but geometrically, this is what's happening. All right, next one. Rotate triangle PQR clockwise about point Q. When I do a rotation, I have a point of rotation. When I do a flip or a reflection, I have a line of reflection. Okay, so I reflect across a line, I rotate around a point. I'm going to choose Q as my point of rotation, and I'm going to rotate PQR clockwise, that's this way, around point Q, so that Q prime and P prime are collinear with QR. Can I rotate this far enough that this side becomes collinear with the pre-image? Okay, so that side of the image becomes collinear with the pre-image. That's going to look like this. I had the wrong. I was doing QP. I meant to be highlighting side QR here, but so I rotate the original, and you can kind of see it. I could rotate this back up if I needed to, but I rotate it until QP, okay, is collinear with QR. This is what a rotation looks like. What is a rotation? It's a turn, a rotation about a single point. And the technical geometric thing that happens is that each point and the image of that point, okay, the prime, are the same distance from the point of rotation. Um, that happens because when I rotate things, the points are just moving in circles. So as I rotate this around, if I tracked where R moved from here to here, it would move through an arc of a circle. And then P moves through a different arc of a different circle, but it's moving through an arc of a circle. And where's the center of that circle? Why, it's at the center of rotation. So R is staying the same distance away, and P is staying the same distance away. All right, now let's look at letter D. This simplified blueprint shows the first two floors of the front of a new civic hall. The third floor will be a translation of the second floor, so it's directly above the second floor. Complete the plan by performing the translation. Now, what are the important parts of this figure? Well, I see that I have the rectangle that makes up the whole thing, okay? Uh, and let's see, I should make this right over here. So I'm going to line it up so it's the right size. So if I'm drawing this out, I'm being careful to trace this figure accurately. And then I also have two smaller rectangles to make these windows here. Okay. And I suppose we can make like the individual squares of the windows. There we go. Okay, so one there. We're going to copy that and put one there. Then we're going to copy one more time. Okay, so these are not perfect as they are right now, but we'll see if we can get them aligned a little better. There we go. And then one big triangle in the middle. So I'm just copying the original with as much detail as I need. And then if I wanted to, I could put like little lines, segment lines um, here and here. It'd probably be a good idea to do that. Now, technically, since I'm using a computer, one of the things that I could have done was just simply made a copy of the original image and pasted it and then dragged it up. And that would be a fine way of doing a translation as well. But felt to me like that was cheating a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to copy this whole thing. And we're just going to take this and move it so it's on the top of this. And that's my translation. Okay. Now, could I have done this a little better? Yeah, maybe. I could have been a little more careful when measuring my side lengths. But do you see how I just copied the exact same figure and then just slid it up? That's a translation. All right. Now you know about the three different types of transformations, and you are ready to do the problems for this assignment.